I was wrong in doing what I did.
No, no! No! Are you listening?
Sean here, back with another cult video. I urge you to go out and read about cults, about how they pull people in, about when they pull you in, and then, more importantly, how long the average person stays in a cult. Because it can vary. People can get out immediately, or people will stay indefinitely. Aaron Smith-Levin, growing up in Scientology, I hear it all the time. He doesn't even know basic things about life. He doesn't understand the way the world works in some innocent ways because he grew up in a cult. I think it was something crazy like 30 years of his life in this cult that believes that children are actually adults, reincarnated adults, and they are ready and willing to work in the worst conditions possible. So would Lorne stay in a cult? And we talked about why he would stay. And I think Lorne would do work, but it would have to be work that Lorne comes up with and Lorne chooses to do. And if he is doing backbreaking, as he calls it, work, which is probably move some dirt over here, move it over there. I mean, come on. We were in Cornville three-way stream listening to Lorne try to come up with stuff he's done. Well, you know, I went to Mom's, went to Roy's trailer, been doing some work around the house. Like, that is a huge deal to him. So if he did anything like dig a garden, if he dug a latrine, if he installed something, he would want to make sure they understood how difficult it was, and he would want constant praise for it. And he would be reminding them as he sat on his weird shapen, melted ice cream, Yeti, disgusting, hairy backside about all of that work he's done, about how he carried milk, milk cartons, milk crates, whatever you're going to call them, from one section of the camp to the other. Lorne is pretty entitled, and I don't understand how he came from that economic background, unless, you know, Mom, she's been taking care of him forever, but he's pretty entitled, and he would probably feel he was owed some money, or you know how he does mental gymnastics. Saved myself $300 by buying this cement mixer, or however much money it was. Lorne, do you have any cement? No, I ain't got any concrete yet. Oh, okay, well, what do you, I'm gonna eventually, everything is eventually with him. So he figures doing work around the house, repairing it, is saving him money, which we all know is just insane. But I think he would expect some kind of reward, and there would probably be a dink joke at the end to test the waters to see how far he could take it. Discussions about his crooked, broken dink. Imagine you're the cult leader, and you've got Lorne in your cult. Now imagine you ask him to do something, and how he'd come up to you all the time and remind you. He'd also see that you had that status and power, and he would attach himself to you. I told you how he would attach himself to his teachers, to janitors, anybody he perceived that had status. I'm a dumbass, because before I got pissed off at a couple individuals, I forgot to ask about the lunch ladies. That's sexist. Wrong. Back in the day, they were lunch ladies. Now they're lunch persons, or lunch employees, or food service employees. I don't know what they're called, but you know what I mean. Lunch ladies. She's always flirting with me. Always. Now, I don't know about you. I told you about the one teacher. Straight out of a movie. About one of my teachers and the flirting back and forth and everything else. But I don't know about Lorne if he would try to attach himself to a hot teacher, if he'd send love notes. But I do know he would see you as a cult leader who had status and power. If he saw a woman, because we know he would attach to any women, we talked about it yesterday. If he saw that you were speaking to women, if he saw that these women, they lusted over you, or these men, if they lusted over you, if you're a female, Lorne would want to be one of those men. He would want to be the cream of the crop. I can't imagine what he would use as an argument for why you needed to pick him over these obviously more attractive men. I just think it would be strange, and it would be something that you would have to deal with often. Lorne coming over when you didn't expect it. You guys know all my Paula theories, and I'm starting to hear that a lot of people feel the same way too. So I gave you that story. Now apply that story to you being a cult leader if you're a female. Just imagine. I'm not going to lie. If I was in, like, school, high school, it's weird. Everybody's trapped in this rectangular, square-shaped place. Some of you might have even had a dome, because I've seen some elementary schools around here, or primary school for you people overseas, if anybody even bothers to listen from overseas. You know, another shrimp on the bobby, Cornvale Freeway. And if you're listening, you son of a bitch, g'day, mate. Like being in an airplane, you're trapped in a tube. And they used to have smoking and non-smoking sections. I remember this. I mean, I don't know how they thought with those little fans they were going to regulate the smoke out of our area, but it didn't work. Anyway, moving on. You're trapped in a school, and you can't get away from some people. And we've talked about Lorne in school and how you can't escape him. He would get up every morning, I'm sure, with a new obsession. Rush to school, maybe work up the courage to walk by and say, "Hi," and run away. But I think we all know that Lorne would walk up to them and assume they were in some kind of relationship. "If you turn around and leave me, I'll just love you from behind." Thank you, Martin. And at school, let's face it, no one can hear you scream. At school, you can't get away from him. So the same would be in a cult. You'd all be in this commune, especially like Jonestown. Again, I urge you to watch some good documentaries on Jonestown, not those surface ones where they're just telling you crap you can look up in Wikipedia. My advice would be to check that out. But you wouldn't be able to go anywhere. And we talked about mandatory pairings and stuff. But I think if you couldn't escape, telling me ice is possible. Jesus. Spring, oh spring. Lorne would be the queen of spring, Maine Somar. You couldn't escape. He'd be at your door. He'd be haunting your footsteps, as we talked about before. So I'm not really sure how you would handle that as a cult leader, because you can't let Lorne not feel like he's the center of the universe, like he's special. He takes it to the extreme because he doesn't get any attention at all. He wants all of the attention. He doesn't get any attention at all, so he wants all the attention. That is a true statement about Lorne Lynn Armstrong. He is an extremist when it comes to things. Drink 6 beers? Nope. I drank an 18-pack or a case or whatever it is he really drank, because we'll never know. I mean, he got so drunk, he was passing out on the phone. He got so drunk, I don't know how I acted last night, going to act. And then he gets on Casey for, "You don't know how you acted last night." You would think a guy like Lorne, I know this is off topic, a guy like Lorne who never got laid after getting that drunk. But it shows a lot about what Lorne thinks about with women if they were around him getting that drunk. Of what he would do, because it popped in his head. His protector role is based on his fantasies and his desires. It's really kind of gross. He would want to be around you as a cult leader all the time. Even if he didn't get attention, he would enjoy the attention, as I say all the time, peripheral, because Lorne gets peripheral information, and he would also see any attention that you got, attention to him, because he was in your group. Which is why I think Lorne spent most of his life searching for acceptance in whatever clique, whatever group, whatever sports team he wanted to be on, because they got the attention. And if they got the attention, technically Lorne would get his attention. And he would also, if he was on a sports team, be running around telling everybody he's in a sports team. He would probably run around and tell everyone that he was in a cult if he was allowed to leave. That would be one of the conditions about him staying, is that it would have some status with it. Women might pay attention. I don't know if he'd understand that it would be the wrong attention, because look at all of his phone calls. Quality time consists of him hammering and badgering and pushing until the woman just gets fed up or he's defeated, which with Casey, he just breaks down, and it's awesome. I don't even care anymore, Casey. I don't even care. Do whatever you want, which is common for somebody like him. Just do whatever you want. I don't even care anymore. Not understanding that women don't care what he cares about. or what he is going to, quote, allow them to do, unquote. He just doesn't understand it. He doesn't understand people. So being in a cult means instant acceptance, and that the boundaries can be pushed at all times, and that he will see what he can get away with, see what he can say, see how much he can attach himself to someone. You go to whatever service they have, if they do on a Sunday, Lorne's trying to sit beside people he has no business sitting beside, not paying attention to the sermon or whatever speech is being given, trying to interrupt, not the speaker, but the people listening. Most of the people that are in a cult, they will pay attention because they see value in what's being said. Lorne wouldn't see value. Oh, I'll just find out about it later. It's just some guy up there talking. I mean, I do all the work around here. I do dirt over here, dirt over there. I guess pretty much what I'm talking about is a captive audience. And Lorne wouldn't understand that when the time came and the captive audience was gone, that the only reason people were talking to him is because they were in that location. I wonder, and I do wonder, when Lorne was handed his diploma, if he was shocked that people were going their separate ways and they didn't want to have anything to do with it. I told you I was insanely popular in high school, but I hung around two guys by the name of Mark and Aaron, and they were my good friends. I could be who I really was around them. I could be sad or angry when I'm on my downswing. They wouldn't care. They wouldn't care, and they would do those dangerous things I told you about that I just needed to do as an outlet. We know Lorne doesn't do it. He just does that stuff because he's dumb. But we all went our separate ways, and looking back, I know I probably shouldn't have been in some of those situations, but I was. Lorne didn't have any of those situations, I don't think. If they needed a fifth for a basketball game, maybe they would pull Lorne in. He doesn't talk about any friends like that because he didn't have any. So when everybody went their separate ways, it was probably a shock to this man. It was probably like, holy crap, where did everybody go? Being in the Marine Corps, 3 months of living every day, sweating, bleeding with the same guys in your platoon, and then you all go to the fleet. And occasionally, because the Marine Corps at the time had 186,000 members, the odds of you running into somebody on a giant base, well, they're good. I ran into one of my best friends from high school who joined the Marines because I did in San Diego. I came on, they were in training, so a non-commissioned officer came on and they were like, Stan, you got attention, because when you're in training, you don't have to be an officer, you just have to be a non-commissioned officer or higher because you're a leader. And it was kind of cool, you know. I saw him, he was a grade below me, always kind of looked up to me, but he was a really good friend to me, really good. I ran into one of my drill instructors, Sergeant Stefani. He was a cook, and a damn good one, by the way. But this was a guy who talked like this. They all had voices like this. Get in my dip position now. We did dips for a freaking hour. Sit-ups for an hour and a half. We were about to die, man. He would mess with us all the time. But we'd get on the fleet, we'd see them, and we'd laugh about all that stuff I hated at the time. Oh, my God. But it was a camaraderie. It was a brotherhood. You know, you see people from the school that you hung out with, and you'll catch up, and those memories will come flooding back. Lorne doesn't have any memories. He's always trying to make new memories, clinging, hanging on, just to be able to have a story to tell. And this cult would provide him with that. But when people left, and they all went their separate ways, they were trying to grow the cult, they were going to different states. I don't know if Lorne would leave Cornville, Maine. I don't know if he would. We're talking about modern Lorne. Maybe younger Lorne would try to follow a woman out into the world or try to stick to the cult leader. But he's not the kind of guy you want paraded in front of a camera. I think the movie was called The Endless, and it was about a cult and about two people who came out and they exposed the cult, and there was something really strange going on. It is one of my favorite horror movies, and there's a prequel to it, but it doesn't really matter. What I'm talking about with Lorne, you don't want to parade him in front of the cameras. You don't want to send him out into the world to try to recruit people into the cult. He is not a good representative. You bring your wife in, he's macking on her, or trying to. Hey, so, you guys having sex? Because if you're not having sex, I know a guy. I know Stephen King. I know his best friend's cousin's uncle's brother's roommate. I could probably get you in some movies. A pedo. A drunken nobody pedo. Living in a trailer in the middle of nowhere is going to hook you up with Stephen King, Casey. He would want to share, he'd want to be the mentor. He'd want to share all of his stories and tell them about Catfish and how maybe he loved the cult because they showed him real affection and real love. They would know they had him because he would be blind to the fact about why they were love bombing him and what he really meant to them, what his role really was. Lorne would stay for all of the wrong reasons. When you've never been cool, when you've never had friends, when you've never done anything or been anywhere in your life, this cult is going to be eye-opening for you. You're going to feel so important and start experiencing new things that you've never had. And people in cults, they see you as a member, and they might try to befriend you, try to mentor you. But Lorne thinks any affection is love, any attention is love, convincing himself that probation and parole are there to help him and not protect us. So that's proof that when he got there, he wouldn't understand any counseling he was getting, any scolding or advice. It would be because they were protecting him, not the women he was haunting their footsteps, not those women. But it would be to protect him and to make sure he stays. He's a valuable member of that cult. It would be very difficult to let him know what he's a part of. The Yellow Bamboo cult, the fake martial arts cult, where they would have like super chi energy or something crazy, where you ate a special diet, Heaven's Gate, all that insanity. I was in Japan when the Sauron gas attack. When that happened, I was at the base of Mount Fuji, freezing freaking cold. We were put on alert because we didn't know if they were going to do an attack on American bases that were there. I believe it was Tokyo or Roppongi, I can't remember. But, Roppongi is pretty much the same. God forbid Lorne got in a violent cult, an extremist cult, what they might be able to talk him into doing. Lorne seems he might understand that setting a building on fire is wrong. I don't know how much peer pressure it would take for him to join in. Maybe one woman going, come on, it'll be fun. Let's go. Let's light this town on fire. I love you, baby. Baby, can you at least call me, text me back? Let me know what's going on. I don't think it would take much for him to do some stupid crap. And he would get arrested again. I honestly don't know if a cult would take him because of his past unless he was providing them with money or doing something that no one else wanted to do. And we briefly touched on that. I told you guys I'm getting ready for a magic act. I'm preparing a contest act on top of that. The magic convention is the unconventional convention. It takes place every year, the first weekend of November, or sometimes the last week of October. Most of the time, the first weekend in November. It takes place at Cumberland Falls. Beautiful place to stay. A good excuse for a bunch of magicians to get together and have a good time. That's why there haven't been a lot of videos. Plus, what I'm managing right now at work is absolutely soul-crushing. Moving on. That's why I haven't been making as many videos. But this cult thing with Lorne, I've really been thinking about it. He's a prime candidate. I think if someone catfished him as a cult leader, they could suck him in. I think they could suck Lorne into whatever cult they were, representing. I really do. Make him feel like he was going to be the man. He's going to be special. Didn't cost any money whatsoever. You know what? Lorne, it cost $5,000. You'll be in a place where there are women that are captive audience. Take my money. Where'd you get $5,000 from, Lorne? Well, not the lady down the street that I beat up and robbed. Moving on. But the Lorne cult thing, I may make one more video. I don't know. I don't know how you guys like it. I'll be checking the comments here this week at some point. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one.
What?